Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Go check out my website at skyazrael.com. It's Christmas Day, December 25th. Bright and early, daily discipline, mind, body, and soul. Happens to be Sunday. I would normally take today off since it's Christmas. But since it's Sunday, I got to do my study group. If you're new to the channel, every Sunday I do a little study group for my warriors. This time we're going to go over 7 teachings. These are kind of help your life. These are teachings of Jesus. Now, I'm not a big heavy-duty Christian. I don't get on here trying to preach religion. But you did just hear me say mind, body, and soul. Soul includes spirituality. We have to cultivate all aspects of ourselves. So let's get into 7 teachings of our Mexican Lord and Savior, Jesus. The first one is prayer. What does that mean? Why is it a big deal to pray? Are you supposed to walk around all day thinking about some magic wizard with a beard who's all powerful that you can just kind of beg gifts from? Or to prostrate yourself and bow down in fear? Please don't kill me, please don't kill me, like you're some kind of slave. It's not what it means. To have prayer as a part of your life means that you want to have gratitude. What do you do when you pray? Ask for stuff, ask for things to work out. You're talking to yourself when you do that. That is your own little fantasy world. And that's silly. It's a silly, useless activity, and that's why your prayers never go answered, is because that's not how prayers work. What prayer is gratitude. Forget about the word prayer. Think about the word gratitude. Being thankful, being grateful. That's what you do when you pray. The Rastafarians, they have it figured out. They talk about, in many of their songs, Bob Marley, these types of people talk about in many of their songs, thanks and praise. That's what you're doing when you're praying, is you're just giving thanks and you're giving praise. That's it. You're grateful for what you have. It puts you in a mindset of proper navigation, where when you're grateful for what you have, for what little you have, for what little that you've acquired, you're not always hungry and greedy for more. There's nothing wrong with having a drive, a personal drive to be better, to want more, to be successful. That's natural. But we always want to be able to be grateful for what we have, or else what we have becomes dull. You get bored of it quick. You're always wanting more. You become an addict. You become insatiable. Too hungry for something new, not able to appreciate what's already there. So you can be grateful for little things. And when you do, when you find that you're engaged in a life of gratitude, what you're actually doing is you're actually involved in a life of prayer. Let's go to the next one. There's 7 teachings. The next one is fasting. When you think of fasting, you just think of not eating. That sucks. I hate not eating. I love eating. Fasting is healthy. Just look at it from just the word alone, just thinking about not eating, because it means more than that. But if you can go long periods without eating, it's a good experience to be able to take control of your desires. And hunger floats back and forth between being a desire and a need. And we need to eat, but we also desire eating. and we're timed with it. We time our eating. We eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then snacks, and we go our whole lives always consuming. To be able to take control of your consumption, of your need to consume. That's a powerful form of self-mastery. But fasting isn't just simply staying away from food. Fasting is taking a break from anything that we put into ourselves that is external, that we feel like helps us. You don't need a lot of external bullshit in your life. So you may need to take a fast from various things in your life. You may need to take a fast from violent movies, from video games, from drinking, from all kinds of things, to take control of yourself. Let's go to the next one. Public worship. These are teachings of Jesus. Public worship. You think of public worship as just simply going to church? That's probably what they do mean when it's put in the Bible, just going to church. I personally find church boring. There are good churches out there, I'm sure. I never really found one that I got down with. But what I look at as public worship is more of expressing your spirituality in public. That doesn't mean going out in front of a subway station and yelling at people that the end is near and believe in God. But to be publicly out in the open as opposed to in your closet or secretly in your house. To publicly be spiritual and to have that be an aspect of your character and your personality, that other people who know you, they know that you're a spiritual person, whatever your spirituality may be. It doesn't have, we're talking about Jesus today because it's Christmas, but it doesn't have to be Christianity. It could be anything. It could be anything. It all has a similar value to me. You can't get hung up on who you worship. You got to get down with why you're worshiping. And public worship, to me, is just kind of coming out of the closet with your spirituality. Maybe you grew up where you were embarrassed to say that you were spiritual, to say that you believed in a higher power, or whatever. There's nothing wrong with setting an example, being an ideal. It doesn't mean that you have to proselytize and to become a preacher and to get on a soapbox and rant and rave at parties about what you get down with, what kind of beliefs that you're in. It just means that you stop hiding in your closet with it. And it's also a form of practice. Public worship means that you practice. So you're practicing your spirituality. Your spirituality isn't just something you think about. You think you're a good person, but you don't really practice it. Do you practice it? Let's go on to the next one. It's number 4. Reading. Now, what they meant in this is reading the Bible. Jesus didn't mean just simply read anything. And back in his time, 2,000 years ago, I doubt there was any literacy amongst anybody. Nobody could really read. So some of these teachings may have been added after the fact. But nonetheless, they talk about reading the Bible. The Bible's a hard book to read. You have the King James Version, which is almost impossible, written in that funny language, prose or whatever it is, Old English. It's got all these ye's and thou's, and it's hard to read. They have that other version, I forget what it's called, the new version. It's got some name to it. That's more easy to read. A lot of Baptists and people like that, those types of churches get down with that version just because you can read it. I think really what this means more, in my opinion, though, is just study. To study philosophy, study how the mind works, study psychology, study spirituality with an intent. You're not studying this stuff so you can go on Jeopardy, so you can be a know-it-all when these conversations come up. You're studying this with the intent of self-mastery, of figuring out that puzzle, which is your mind, like a Rubik's Cube. So you got to be all about it. You got to study. You got to put in work. And that has redemptive value, and where you can kind of heal yourself heal your past, but it helps you move forward. It's amazing sometimes how when I study every single day, all kinds of topics. When I hit something good, and when you hit something good, it's like, oh man, you can't pull away from it, and you want to learn more about it, you'll quickly find that the internet doesn't have everything. Sometimes you feel like the internet has everything. When you're really getting into a topic, you realize that, man, there's not enough out here. I don't have enough. I want more. You'll be thinking about that all day, maybe all week. That's moving forward. That's some powerful shit. I love that feeling. That's spiritual right there. Let's move on to the next one. Is number 5. Teachings of Jesus. Solitude and silence. It's a big promoter of solitude and silence. Now, Jesus talked in front of a bunch of people, and he was a rather social dude. He had his 12 homeboys that followed him around relentlessly. I wonder if he ever got sick of the disciples and was just like, God, you guys have anywhere to go? You've been following me like I can't even take a piss without you guys. I could just imagine that every time you went to the outhouse or behind a bush, they'd have these 12 guys being like, what are you up to, Jesus? You teach us something? Solitude and silence. So not everybody can handle solitude or silence. I think I can handle solitude pretty well, where I don't need other people around me. I don't get lonely. That's not an experience that I go through anymore. I don't feel lonely about anything ever. So I'm good at solitude. I enjoy being around other people, but not always. I enjoy being alone more than I enjoy being around other people, if I have my choice. I'd rather hang around with myself and do my own thing than to be in a group of people. But I don't mind being social. There's a value in solitude for you social butterflies out there, that you get to know yourself. You have to leave the group in order to really understand your individuality and to know who you are. It's an aspect of self-mastery. And you want to become who you are. It's hard to become who you were meant to be, to fulfill your destiny, when you're so influenced by others all the time. So get out on your own, whatever that means to you. And silence, that's tough, because I always have music going, always, in the car, in the house, in the shop. I always have some sort of tunes going. That's my thing. I love music. Silence can be deafening sometimes. But it's good to get into silence. I was reading the other day in the office, and I realized that I sat there for about an hour and a half in total silence, with no music or nothing, just complete silence in a room, like a weirdo, in a quiet room, like a nut. That's good. You get to really get to know yourself. Let's go to the next one. Service. Obviously, Jesus was big on service, serving others, dedicated his life to that. That's important. We dedicate so much of our lives to ourselves, to helping ourselves, and build up a big bank account so we can buy a car for ourselves and have all these things, and we're rather self-serving with a lot of our activities. And it's good to sit and think about, brainstorm, get a pen and paper, and actually think about, well, how can I actually be of service to others? And what does it mean to be of service, to help others? Selflessly help others, where I don't need money out of it. I don't need a tip. Even a thank you doesn't really matter, because I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. It's a weird thing about service, is you get so into serving others that, and you truly enjoy helping others and seeing other people be strong, seeing a wounded bird get up and fly. That's fulfilling. And that fulfillment is worth chasing. So when you look at service as almost a selfish activity, it's just a game. I mean, you're playing semantics at this point, but it's fun. It's a lot better to get off on serving others, to have that reward, your profit, be that pleasure of serving others, than to just be searching your whole life simply for profit. Let's go to the last one, meditation. When you meditate, you're not just thinking of nothing, because that's impossible. You're always going to think. You can't turn your brain off. It's impossible. The goal of it is to quiet all the various voices in your mind. And when you can identify yourself as thinking, to recognize that you're thinking, to notice that I'm thinking right now, that puts yourself into a different outlook, where you are in an outlook of the observer rather than the outlook of the experiencer. So you're almost one slight step removed from yourself, even though you're still inside your own head, to simply notice that you're thinking. And when you notice that you're thinking, you can then take a couple seconds, couple minutes, however long it works for you, to let all those thoughts go. And if you can get just this fleeting moment of peace and quiet before all those thoughts come back in, that's really the game of meditation. It's like an in-breath and an out-breath. It's like the waves coming in and coming out. And as you do that more, you start to become more in control of your mind, rather than your mind being in control of you. Merry Christmas.